Can everybody please mute themselves and show themselves in the camera? Alrighty, thank you. I'm going to go into full screen. Oops, not okay. And then I'm going to pin myself. Alrighty, take this off. Alrighty, okay. Have you ever experienced an emotion where you felt either really extremely sad or extremely angry to the point of crying endless tears or even screaming until your lungs collapsed? Though that sounds like a temper tantrum that a toddler would experience, those heightened emotions are something common with people who have borderline personality disorder. Lori always felt like she was riding a roller coaster of emotions. Every day, it would either be high highs or low lows. She didn't know how to manage them. Yes, life is crazy, and we do experience our high highs and low lows, but hers were just almost impossible to manage. It took one small little mishap to happen for her thoughts to just come overthinking like a roller coaster. Now, later she found out she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and because she was able to educate herself on it, she learned how to manage her she learned how to better cope and manage her life better. According to the National Mental Health Institute, last access November 3rd, data shows that 1.4 to 5.9% of people are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in the United States. That is 1 to 6 out of every 100 people. Though it seems like a lot, not a lot, it still impacts them. Today, we're going to be learning about borderline personality disorder. We'll be learning about what it is, its effects, and its treatments. First, let's talk about what borderline personality disorder is. According to Mayo Clinic, last access November 8, 2024, borderline personality disorder is a mental health condition that affects the way people feel about themselves, making it hard for them to function in everyday life. People who are diagnosed with BPD are known to have very low self-esteem and a very low sense of self. And this unstable sense of self creates mood swings and very intense and quick emotions that are extremely hard to manage in the moment, which leads to very impulsive behaviors. The issue is with people with BPD, they have a very, very intense fear of abandonment, which leads because of childhood traumas. And a lot of people who have BPD may have experienced childhood abuse or neglectful parents or parents who struggled with substance abuse. Now, this in their adolescent years or even adulthood, this led them to believe that their needs, if they asked for them, they would not be met. So there are 9 main symptoms of borderline personality disorder, and it only takes 5 out of 9 to be diagnosed. And according to Mayo Clinic last access November 12, 2024, those symptoms include, like I said, a strong fear of abandonment, a very intense or unstable relationships, changes in how you view yourself, like I said, low self-esteem, losing contact with reality, impulsive or risky threats of suicide or self-injury, mood swings lasting for continuous amounts of days, feelings of emptiness and sadness, and losing your temper very often. Now that we've explored what borderline personality disorder is, let's discuss its effects. Individuals with BPD live a pretty harsh life as it affects not only the inside of their head, but their outside world and the relationships that they make with literally every single person. Romantic relationships can be very hard to maintain as people with BPD due to them relying so heavily on their partner for external validation. They might place all the pressure on that singular person, which might cause their spouse to feel overwhelmed or just over everything. Impulsivity is one of the things that can be very dangerous for people with BPD because according to Not Sorry Love Lori, BPD patients need this intense, and they need constant reassurance and validation. And when their partner can no longer provide them for as constantly as they need it, they resort to external validation, cheating. And in her case, she was able to manage her relationship perfectly fine. They talked about it. But for other people, that's something that once you cross, it's not going to happen. So because of this constant need of self reassurance. They'll look to outside people, and it may end up very ugly. You can see how detrimental this could be for the relationship romantically. BPD not only affects romantic relationships, but everyday life. It is a mental illness that makes accomplishing each day very challenging. According to BPD Impacts My Everyday Life in May 25th, 2021, Gabby says, my awful self-talk can spiral into suicidal thoughts and solid beliefs that everyone will be better off without me. When I'm struggling to manage when I'm struggling to manage my BPD, I can display people-pleasing tendencies and self-sacrificing behaviors. And I always feel worse for it because no matter how comforting someone is, they never fulfill my chronically unmet needs. So a lot of people with BPD just ultimately feel like they're being too dramatic, that they're just being too much. And imagine how upsetting it feels for someone with BPD when people will come at you and comfort you, and still it's not enough because it ultimately in your brain is hardwired to think that it's ultimately not enough. Now that we have gone over its effects and how it affects relationships in your life, let's discuss some treatment options. DBT therapy, or dialectical behavioral therapy, is one of the most commonly and most efficiently used treatment options for BPD. This is a cognitive behavioral therapy that equips its patients with techniques that help them cope in the moment. Whenever a BPD episode happens, they use the techniques used for DBT therapy, and they are able to like submit themselves to the present moment to stop those overthinking thought processes to just take over their life, and so they don't have those impulsive behaviors. Now, according to DBT for borderline personality disorder, October 10th, 2022, Ming-Young Chung explains the main struggle for BPD is emotion dysregulation. So treatment revolves around learning to decrease and manage emotion dysregulation. DBT therapy has 4 different kinds of techniques which use mindfulness meditation, interpersonal effectiveness, emotion regulation skills, and distress tolerance. You can easily see how mindfulness meditation is probably one of the most popular effects or techniques that people with borderline personality disorder use, because like I said, it's really important for them to bring themselves back to the moment and process their emotions and their thought processes and think about what triggered them in that exact moment. Now, when it comes to medication therapies, there aren't any FDA approved medications that help with symptoms, and there are only 4 common kinds that help with some of the symptoms, and those include antidepressants, antipsychotics, anxiolytics, and mood stabilizers. Now, talk therapy is one of the most efficient used because, like I said, when you learn the certain techniques of how to calm yourself down and the certain emotion regulation skills, it's way more efficient. And mood stabilizers and antidepressants, they have a lot of negative side effects. So talk therapy is definitely one of the best and most efficient uses. Today we learned about borderline personality disorder. We talked about what borderline personality disorder is, its effects, and its treatments. Remember, 1 to 6 out of 100 people are affected by this mental illness. And remember, Lori struggled every single day of her life with her mood swings and her constant bashing of her self-image, but after she educated herself, she was able to manage it better. So now that you've educated yourself, if you ever come across somebody with borderline personality disorder, whether it may be a loved one, a romantic partner, or anybody at all, you have some insight and you can understand them a little bit better. And thank you for listening.